It's tempting to do things that people tell you that you can't do. Now, I've gone through that my entire life. I love to prove my haters wrong, but when it comes to news items and controversy, media outlets usually pour onto that because it makes money. It's what the people want. But how would you feel if a huge news network suddenly pulled all discussions of a topic that makes sense? I don't know, maybe the lab leak of C-19? Now, I've got an update on that you will not believe. President Joe Biden just had his physical, and doctors are saying that he's in top form. Even the First Lady, Jill Biden, she says that he's in good health, both physically and mentally. But not everybody is convinced. A former White House doctor from previous administrations is calling out the tests and demands that President Biden's cognitive results be made available to the American people. Do you guys think that as an 80-year-old that we should be made aware of our own president's capability to function cognitively? Or is that something that shouldn't matter because, they'll just keep telling us that he's as sharp as ever? Now, while the president got his physical, he also gained competition from his own party in 2024. Although this Democrat is saying that she's only doing it to overhaul our economy. Is that a huge concern for people at the moment? Just comment a quick yes or no down below on that one. And Dr. Anthony Fauci is back in the spotlight as it has come out that he tried to hide and disprove the lab leak theory before it even made the news. I don't know about you guys, but these government officials, they seem to have a knack for being able to tell what's going to happen before things even take place. Kind of makes you wonder if they're either psychic or they planned these things beforehand. Now, before I continue, please take a second, smash the like button for the video. Totally helps out a lot. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to Social Security, SSI, SSDI, the state of our economy, global happenings and conflicts, housing market updates, the stock market, and what's really going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you own a home, make sure to get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below this video. Guys, President Joe Biden finally has a challenger for the presidential nomination for his party, and it's self-help writer and speaker Marianne Williamson.
As of today, am a candidate for the office of President of the United States. And we know that this country is plagued by many challenges now, not the least of which is hatred and division, which is greater than any of us have experienced in our national life. And it is our job to create a vision of justice and love that is so powerful that it will override the forces of hatred and injustice and fear. And I say to you now, again, hear me, it's our turn. Let's do this. Thank you very, very, very much.
Now, according to her, quote, "I want to be president because this country needs to make an economic U-turn. The system that effectuates and perpetuates that kind of income and opportunity inequality is not changing itself. It's not going to change if we continue to elect the same old, end quote. Well, that is a clear shot at our 80-year-old president. And even though President Joe Biden hasn't made his bid for 2024 official, many others have already done it for him. One of them is First Lady Jill Biden. She also says that the idea of having politicians over the age of 75 years old take a mental competency test is ridiculous. Now, if you guys remember, Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley suggested this test for lawmakers and officials in our government who are at this age, which, by the way, obviously includes President Biden. Now, the First Lady also argued that President Biden's age shouldn't be a concern, especially with what he's shown recently in a visit to Ukraine. Now, according to her, quote, "How many 30-year-olds could travel to Poland, get on a train, go 9 more hours, go to Ukraine, meet with President Vladimir Zelensky? So look at the man. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he continues to do each and every single day." End quote. Now, I'm not sure how this relates to the president's cognitive abilities, but the First Lady suggests that the president is more than capable in terms of a mental state. And since we're already talking about the president, he actually had a cancerous skin lesion removed last February 16th with Kevin O'Connor, the White House's doctor, saying that no further treatment was required and that President Biden's physical exam found him to be fit for duty.
The White House doctor just announced that President Biden had skin cancer removed during his physical last month.
During that exam, a small skin lesion on President Biden's chest was removed for a biopsy, and it turned out to be cancerous. In a new memo released today, the president's doctor said it was a basal cell carcinoma, a common form of skin cancer that does not spread like other more serious types.
Not everybody's convinced, though. And one of those people is Representative Ronny Jackson. He was was the former White House doctor during the Obama and Trump administrations. Now, referring to the president, Jackson said that, quote, he's what needs to be removed, not the lesion that they found. But this is just another effort from his physician and from his medical team to distract. All we care about in this country with regards to President Biden, 80 years old, who's got some obvious cognitive issues, is a cognitive assessment of some sort. We want something on record to prove to us he's cognitively capable of doing his job, and almost a moot point at this stage because we all know he's not. End quote. But let me ask you guys, do you guys think that President Biden and his medical staff are purposely hiding his mental tests? And if they are, what could be the reason behind that? And what could be the reason for Dr. Anthony Fauci to be involved with creating a report that said that the C-19 virus was most probably from a natural origin and not a lab leak? Now, I can't quite put my finger on why the doctor would ever do such a thing. Well, emails obtained by the House Select Committee on the Health Crisis show that Dr. Anthony Fauci headed a study titled The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2. Now, this is way back in February 2020. Wait, he commissioned the paper in February 2020? Wow, that pretty much lines up with when many countries around the world just found out about the virus. Fauci's a natural when it comes to predicting what's going to happen in the future, isn't he? Anyway, this paper was used by Fauci to disprove the lab leak and deem it a conspiracy theory. It also aimed to conceal his funding of gain-of-function research at the Wuhan labs. So this guy could be in trouble for a couple of things. If they did gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab, then they may have done it under the Obama administration, something that was banned in our country because of the dangers that it posed to the people. Although, funding it from another country may not completely take the blame away. And given that he went as far as to have a write-up authored to disprove a lab leak theory, it could also mean that there is something more to this conspiracy than meets the eye. Now, speaking of conspiracies, let's add a little bit more fuel to that fire, shall we? Not that this thing isn't hot enough as it is, but former CNN boss Jeff Zucker disliked former President Donald Trump so much that he told staffers at CNN to not talk or investigate the lab leak theory because it was a Trump talking point. I guess he meant something like this. Check out this article from April 2020. Quote, Trump suspects C-19 outbreak came from the China lab, doesn't cite evidence, end quote. Well, as it turns out, the lab leak could very well be true. And Zucker didn't want his own people to do their job and investigate something that 3 years later is becoming more and more of a reality. So here's the question. If this is proven to be true that the virus did come from a lab in China, will these people who purposely put a cover on our eyes and ears be held accountable for their actions? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. It's important to know the answer to that last question, as many lives were changed under the health crisis. People lost their jobs due to layoffs. Their way of living has been altered. Their homes. I mean, people filed for bankruptcy because they lost everything. Now, fast forward to 2023, and still, many people continue to struggle as inflation is still a pain in our rear ends. But, and here's the positive in all of this, you don't have to suffer or lose hope, especially if you have a willingness to work and learn. Now, if you check my description, I got a lot of opportunities waiting for you guys. And if you want to take the first step forward, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. If you want to talk about getting your life back together financially, be it through investments in the stock market, real estate, starting a side hustle, small business, budgeting, multiple tips and strategies that could ultimately potentially generate multiple streams of income, then feel free to join us in the community. The road to financial freedom isn't easy, but it's also not impossible for those who are willing to work for it. Also, for the best way to invest in gold, hit the link in the description down below. But before I go, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. I appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next video.